is a holistic security company. So it's meant to focus on both physical and cyber, which is kind of more the traditional things that we think of when we think about security. But I also have, that brand is called PurePoint, and I have another brand called Consciously Secure Living that really brings in more of the spiritual and the emotional and the psychological security. So my vision was really, years ago when I was a kid, is I knew that I wanted to impact a large group of people, around the world, billions of people, and really thinking about what does it really mean for people to be safe. And I think we've just entered in with the kind of this realm of fake news. We've just entered in this whole new era of the importance of people really needing to think critically and ask questions when it comes to the different things that they see, because it's a really scary time, and we think about what could happen as a result of someone seeing a certain type of article. So, President Obama said this when he was in Germany not too long ago: "If everything seems the same and no distinctions are made, then we won't know what to protect in terms of information online." So, during the last 3 months of the election, hoax stories outperformed real ones on social media. Is anyone surprised by that? No, probably not. Yeah. So when we think about the election, the WikiLeaks hack, we think about the 150 fake news sites that were created out of Macedonia that really focused on kind of the pro-Trump rhetoric that we heard during the campaign, and also the Russian hack. And those 150 websites that were built were really from teenagers, and the way that they do that, the whole reason that they do that obviously is to make money, so because they get money through advertising. And then of course with the Russian hack, never before has an election been so impacted, right, by 9 US citizens. And so this is something that is kind of like, it makes sense, this is something we know, but we'll really think about the political implications, but not just for this US election, but the elections that have taken place in recent years, and also the ones that are going on currently, the recent one in Ghana, and also upcoming elections in Liberia, how scary this really is. Okay. So back in the day, so you touched on some of the old fake news. This is what I remember being fake news. I remember being at being in the store, picking up like the National Enquirer or some other kind of news outlet and seeing this. And to me, this was what fake news was. But it's not because I didn't believe in aliens, or it's just that to me, all of those Hillary Clinton adopts alien baby, just those 5 words together just didn't make sense to me, right? So, but today we're seeing different fake headlines, which are really believable. And later on, we'll go through those images, and I'm going to ask you guys and tell me which ones you guys think are fake and which ones you guys think are real. So I'd be curious to hear what you think. So sorry, this is a little blurry, but obviously this is from Pizzagate. So we've already talked a little bit about this. So we'll go on to the next one. Yeah. So the issues and problems with this is that obviously, as we just talked about, fake news is much more believable nowadays, and it's much more accessible. Right? All you have to do is go onto social media, and you're going to see something. Facebook is not doing enough monitoring of this. Now they did just hire Campbell Brown, which is actually pretty exciting. She's a journalist that I was really familiar with from about 10 years ago. I believe she was on CNN or ABC. Yeah, CNN. She was CNN. So I think it'll be interesting to see what she does. She's now going to be leading up news partnerships for Facebook. So it'll be great to see how this impacts that. Advertisements is a really big deal because, again, it's profitable. So it's not, right now, there's no disincentive for people to not have a fake news website, because there really are it's not against the law, and as long as they're going to be making money from it, then there's no reason why they shouldn't be doing it. And the last thing is what we're seeing is that this is affecting the advertising industry, the marketing industry, and also the media industry. And I'm here representing the security industry, so what we'll also talk about is how it's impacting the security industry as well. Okay. So some of the industry trends that we're seeing is that obviously money is an influencer here. Facebook and Twitter, WhatsApp, as well as also in Google, is also heavily impacted by this. In Germany, Angela Merkel says that she's considering plans for social networks to make public how they rank news online and make algorithms more transparent, which I think it would be fantastic, and I hope that's part of what Facebook's initiatives will be. And then, of course, in African countries, many of the countries have banned the use of social media prior to elections because of what we've seen recently here in the United States, which I actually think is pretty great and pretty progressive. So, well, let me just take that back, since I know we have journalists in the room. It may not be great, but I think it's progressive. So Facebook, I just mentioned that they've appointed Campbell Brown. So Indonesia's been known to close down social media sites prior to elections, and also for fake news. But that could also just be the kind of cracking down on journalism as well. So I wouldn't necessarily say that they're being progressive in that way. And then many European politicians are also really questioning what is the role of social media nowadays, and why are they so heavily involved? Why is social media itself and the social media companies so heavily involved in politics? So what I would invite everyone here to do, and also invite people in your circle to do, is to read things that come across your way. If you're like, wow, that really was provocative, I'm really curious to learn more about that, read the article, then verify it. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to verify it. So, why does it matter from a security perspective? In the United States, what we've seen, pretty recently is that a lot of fake news can also be hate news. The New York Times describes hate news as a toxic mix of lies, white supremacist content, and bullying that can inspire attacks on Muslims, gay people, women, African Americans, and others. So this is something that has also been seen in other parts of the world, particularly in Southern Europe, as it relates to the immigrants from the Middle East as well. So, again, this is a second main time that I'm bringing it up tonight, is just that this is a profit-driven market. And so the biggest challenge from this is that, again, there are no laws regulating it, but people are making money from spreading hate, and that's really scary, because that also influences behaviors in people that wouldn't normally do something like that. Yes, thank you. It also spreads conspiracy theories, right, which isn't surprising. And it also impacts political leaders and impacts behaviors of political leaders. And it also results in threats. So part of the WikiLeaks, when they were leaking their emails, it leaked some of the people, the names of individuals that were supporting the Clinton campaign. So some of these individuals were, small business owners in Washington, D.C., and some of these small business owners started to receive threats. Fake news stories started to come out about these specific individuals as well. So now we're seeing the impact of what can happen, even when an organization like WikiLeaks, if they release something because of a hack that they did, how that can impact fake news in different communities around the world. And then, Facebook is doing amazing things. I'm sure many of you guys, it happened in New York last week, I believe it was, when the train derailed and people in Brooklyn were able to mark themselves as safe. And so Facebook is really leading the way with that. One thing that happened was during the Ebola crisis in 2014 in Sierra Leone, there was false information that spread on Facebook about how to prevent the spread of Ebola. And so these types of things are really important. And if there was a way that Facebook could get ahead of this type of thing, this could not only help from a security standpoint, but obviously this was a great example of a public health issue. So again, a little blurry there, so I apologize, but I really wanted to include this. So go ahead and look at this. What do you guys think about this? Can you guys read the line?
Awaiting President Obama's arrival in
Maine.
Maine. Portland, Maine.
Okay. Do you guys think this is real? Is this a real news? Is this a real news image, you think?
When was that?
It cannot be.
Okay.
It cannot be
When
determined.
was that aired?
I have the date on it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it is.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you guys, okay, so we're going to go to the next one. All right, so here's a couple here, so hopefully you guys can see this. So this is a blogger, 37 million readers monthly.
Pretty
And-
good.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. And then this one right here, it says FCC to ban the term rednecks from the airwaves. Fake. Okay. Do you think both of them are fake?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Breitbart's usually is.
Yeah. What'd you say?
Breitbart's usually they have like
Oh, yes. And I knew you guys are familiar with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I figured because I know
Oh,
that
is
they
it
had
Breitbart?
lots
Yeah,
of.
Breitbart.
Yeah. So because this site listed all of the. You know. Yeah, they listed a lot of the fake, the fake news websites on there, which I thought were really fascinating. Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, America.
So here, so what about this one, the Boston Globe, deportations to begin?
True.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
That's partially
Based on
true.
What he said previously, what
Okay.
Trump said that once he gets elected, then
Yeah.
deportations will begin.
Okay. All right. What about this? Around the world, giant hornets kill 42 people in China. You guys see the image of the continent?
Giant.
South America.
Yeah.
Oh,
All goes on South America.
okay.
Yeah. So live CNN. You see that live CNN though? Okay. And then you have Yoko Ono here. It said, "I had an affair with Hillary Clinton in the '70s."
I don't
That's
know.
fake.
I had an affair with
Oh,
Hillary
yeah,
Clinton
that
in the
is so
'70s.
How old was he?
Right. Yeah. So the next one. Okay. And so this one. Yeah.
Even with this
Yeah.
Very
Veritas.
good.
Veritas Manila. Oh, that should be Veritas.
fake. Because when it checks in,
They took the V
It's on the fake side,
from
yeah.
Veritas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took out the V.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And do you guys know who that is?
Yo quiero la paz.
Do you
So
love
he-
peace?
He's
Is vote no?
vote
Is that correct
Yeah.
translation?
You love peace, vote no.
So his name is Juanes, and he's a Colombian pop singer. Juanes, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And he's a Colombian pop singer.
Oh,
And this,
Fark.
right. So when the country was voting on whether to have the peace deal or not, this image was floating around. He
That's what it
completely
was.
denied it.
Yeah.
Said that it was fake.
Mm.
And so, but then, of course, the country narrowly voted to not go for the peace deal. And so it's just a great example of how an image can make such an incredible impact for people. And we all know what impacts have been made here in the United States as a result of the election. We've already talked about what's gone on in the Philippines. So it's incredibly powerful, just what an image can do. So what should we do? How should we really focus, and what questions should we be asking when it comes to social media, and how we identify a fake or a news story? Okay, so a couple tips to protect yourself and to ask yourself. So one thing that I think could be great to do is, and it doesn't matter, I just put different ones up there because there's a wide, diverse audience and people have different experiences. But have CNN or New York Times, Fox, whatever it is you like, get alerts to your phone from some of the mainstream media so that when things are happening, you can get an alert to know what's going on. Or a news source that you trust. Whatever news source is that you trust, get alerts from them. Something, a place that's known for reputable journalism. You want to validate the information on more than one news source. Okay. You want to make sure that you don't go strictly off social media. Just validate whatever it is that you're seeing on social media before you hit that share button. Question everything. So again, that's super simple, but just ask yourself, does this really make sense, or is this really something that person would do? Very simple thing to do, but just want to pause. And then one of the invitation that I had you guys, that I invited you guys all to do before is to read and verify, right? So read. Does it really make sense? Maybe it does. Maybe it's sensational, and we want to go ahead and forward it on, or we want to share it. But let's go ahead and verify the source to really make sure that it's actually real. You can save it and come back to it later. And then, of course, think twice before hitting the share button. So that's something that we always want to make sure. And what I'll say is that every single one of these things individually will not work. So it's taking 3 of them, 4 of them, putting them together, and then using them. That's really the best way to go, because if you just do one of them, you're gonna run into a bunch of fake news stories at the end of the day. So, so that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
guys very
you.
much.